Mets Nation, and welcome to the Bat Cave. I'm your host, the Bat Frie, Kenny Fry. I hope everybody's doing well this wonderful Wednesday morning. And here's your obligatory hump day. Whoop. There we go. Get it over with. Yeah, shoot that hump day out of there. That way you know you can start your Wednesday. Got a comment? Let's shoot it out there and see what we got going on here. There's our boy, Adam Glenn. What's up, dude? How you doing? Hope everything's well with you and your family. Thanks for checking out the show, buddy. All right, so let's kick this off. As you can see, I'm in a little bit different location. I'm trying a different spot in my house. Wi-Fi reason why. Wi-Fi is the reason why. With the last couple of shows I've done, whether it was Bat Cave, the Silver and Black Lair, the Atomic Drop podcast, every once in a while my internet would lag for some reason. I don't know why, because I never had a problem before, but just recently I've had some issues. And, you know, I attributed some of that to actual weather, because the last few weeks is very rainy, very overcasty and all that stuff through Pennsylvania. So I don't know if it was that, or I think it was partly because of that. But anyway, so right now I'm directly below the Wi-Fi. So we'll see how that works out. I'm kind of curious, because I know sometimes when I start the show up, there's me sitting there like this for like 5-10 seconds or whatever, just waiting, because I'm seeing the music still playing, the intro still playing, while you're seeing me, a fat ass just sitting there staring at the screen. So hopefully I got this licked, and if everything turns out all right, I'll move my podcasting station down to the den area and go from there. Got another comment there. Our boy Cowboy Dave Yarnell. What's up, brother? You can check Cowboy Dave out last night on MLB Extra Innings with Joe Sullivan. They were talking playoffs last night, and I'll talk a little bit of playoffs tonight. I was able to catch a couple games throughout the playoffs so far this season. You also check Cowboy Dave out on Dem 215 Boys, talking Dallas Cowboy football with Matt Klein, the TOP, Tower of Patience, and our boy Paul Spencer, Mr. Fuji 2.0, and 50 other different monikers he goes by or doesn't go by, whatever you want to call him. And also myself on Fridays, the Atomic Drop podcast, talking WWE wrestling. We have a lot of fun doing that show, and unfortunately with work and all this other stuff, family stuff that I've been doing a lot lately. Our times have been jumping around, but we're trying to get a show out every weekend as best as we can. So thanks for checking the show out, Dave. Dave, what did you think about the Phillies losing to the Braves the other night? Do you think that's a backbreaker? Do you think the Phillies missed a golden opportunity? Do you think they'll be fine? I'm just curious to see what your thoughts are. Adam, Glenn, I think you're a Phillies fan as well. So, let me know your thoughts of the Phillies dropping that one to the Braves after being up 4-0, Zach Wheeler cruising, and then just kind of just letting that one slip through their fingertips. It's kind of shocking, to be honest with you. They're really in control. The Braves are such a good hitting team that no lead is safe. Just like the Phillies. The Braves are up on the Phillies. No lead is safe. Both teams terrific hitting teams. And so you play all the way to the last out. All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about the Mets managerial search a little bit. I mean, I'm not going to get too crazy with it. This isn't going to be a crazy long show like sometimes I'm on for an hour and a half or an hour and 45 minutes. But I'd like to talk a little bit about the managerial search. So maybe some like dark horses, some guys that nobody's thinking about that. I think why not? Why shouldn't these guys get a look? Or maybe those guys don't even want to look. Maybe they're like, no, we're fine where we're at. We don't want to. But it's just names that popped in my head, and see what your thoughts are on them. So real quick before I get into that. Dave says, I think the momentum went back to the Braves. I think Atlanta wins today. Adam Glenn says they let it get away. Phillies in 4. And he says, hire Glabe. Or is that Giab? I think it's Giab. I don't know who Giab is. You're gonna have to. I don't speak Adamese, so you're gonna have to explain a little bit. Giab. I don't know. I don't think there's a Giambi. That's the only Giab. I don't know who else it would be with a G. I don't know. All right, Adam further explains Gabe. Meaning Gabe Kapler, former, actually former Phillies manager, former San Francisco Giants manager, Gabe Kapler. I think that's a name that has popped up a bunch of times for this job, but I'm not so sure about that. Dave says the showstopper says Atlanta in 5. Man, he's keeping it real. He's keeping it real, and that's what we try to do here on Out of the Box. Keep it real. And Cowboy Dave, the Philly fan, says Atlanta in 5. He's doing a chop. Yariel Rodriguez says, hey, Kenny. Hey, how you doing, buddy? Thanks for checking the show out. Thanks for commenting. Anything you want to talk about, Yariel, throw it up there, buddy. We'll talk about it. As long as it's not too insane, and because I don't, it doesn't have to be anything that I even know about. We'll throw it up there. We'll ask whoever's watching, what are your thoughts on this, that, or the other, and go from there. So thanks for checking the show out. Appreciate it. He says, who ratted on Billy Epler? You know what? So when that came down, so Billy Epler recently resigned. So. Quick rewind. So as soon as the name, oh God, I have a brain fart now. My brain is locking up on me. For the baseball, president of baseball operations, David Stearns. As soon as his name started coming up, that's the Mets, next baseball of operations guy, president of baseball operations. This is all the way back in the beginning of the season. This is even before he was even able to interview or anything. When his name first started coming up, a lot of people were saying that Epler would stick around because he and Billy Epler are good friends. And, so my whole thought was the whole time it seemed like Epler was going to stay. And then when Epler resigned, I was like, well, that's really weird. I thought he was going to stay. And then I started reading some articles on it that, Epler and David Stearns were actually working together, looking for the next coach and everything like that. So they were going to work together. And then just, abruptly, I don't even know if that's the right word or not. Abruptly, Billy Epler retires or resigns. So I was, I was floored, like, wow, that's really surprising. I thought I talked about this before. I thought Billy Epler did a decent job at the trade deadline, picking up some decent young talent for the guys that we were getting rid of. I mean, granted, the roster that he constructed shit the bed. The bullpen that he put together was not a very good bullpen at all, and so he's partly to blame. But with that being said, I was still very surprised that he resigned, and then it started coming out that he was in a little bit of trouble for his misuse or incorrect use of the injured list and stuff like that. And it was somebody internally ratted on Billy Epler. So I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe that was because that happened earlier in the season too. With they're talking about Verlander being a diva and stuff like that. There was another. It was an internal source. It was a leak or whatever. So it was surprising that Epler resigned, but it was not surprising to me that it turned out that it was an internal source that ratted on him. And it's just like, the Mets are so leaky right now that they have to figure out who it is, or this stuff like this is going to continue throughout the offseason, or little tidbits that they don't want to get out or they don't want exposed or whatever. Because every organization, every company for that matter, has their dirty little secrets or has their stuff internally that, let's just keep this internally. We'll take care of, certain actions that were taken, rightfully or wrongfully. We'll take care of them internally, just to keep it internally. So, there's no reason for everybody to know about it, or to, to have the media out there talking about it, or other baseball people or fans or whatever. So, so every team, like I said, every team or every organization and every company, not just, baseball wise, but, world wise, every company has stuff like that. And unfortunately, some companies, some organizations, some stuff like that, they have leaks. It happens, the White House, it's leaks, Major League Baseball, NFL, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter. There's always leaks. There's always sources, people in the shadows whispering to media and such, or league officials. So I wasn't too surprised by that, but it needs to be buttoned up a little bit. And then, now that you asked that question, Ariel, my first thought, maybe as Buck Showalter. Showalter was, I don't know, fired, resigned, whatever it was, after the season, so Daniel Stearns or David Stearns can start fresh. And but the whole thing that came out then after that was, somebody, I don't know if that was an anonymous tip or an anonymous source or not, but somebody said that Epler and Buck really butted heads about the whole Daniel Vogelback thing. Buck didn't think Vogelback should get the playing time that he should have. That Buck wanted to use it as a means to give rest to his everyday players, his everyday fielding players. Which I think that is fairly smart. Have some bench guys that actually play the damn field, and give your guys a rest. That are playing the field almost every day, and still have them in the lineup. So maybe Buck on the way out's like, hey, by the way, Epler's doing this with the injured list and stuff. So, that's my first thought, to be 100% honest with you, Ariel. Maybe it was Buck, but I don't know. It doesn't seem like that's a kind of a Buck thing to do, but who knows? I don't know the guy personally. He seems like a decent dude, and wouldn't be one of those guys to, if he has poop on the bottom of his shoe, just drag it across the carpet. It doesn't seem like he's that kind of guy to do that. He seems like he's the kind of guy to take that shoe off and take it outside and scrape. So, keep it private. So, yeah, I'm not sure who it is, but they need to button it up. Or it's good. I think there's going to be continuously, because it was such a shit show last year. The Mets organization, well, not the organization, but the team, that there could be a whole lot more stuff that would come out that could damage, potential signings in the future for free agencies. Because what kind of free agent, a high profile free agent will want to come to a team with leaky sources, and people just watching your every move and then telling the media. Nobody wants to go to that. Great question though, Ariel. I like that. Adam Glenn says, "How about them Cowboys, Dave?" Oh, Adam Glenn starting it off early on poor Dave. Cowboy Dave says, "Adam, last I checked, it's only week 6." And you know what? You're right there. So real quick, not to get off of baseball too much, but I heard a great comparison for all you Cowboy fans out there, walking around kicking a can or petting your cat extra hard recently after that 49ers whooping. ESPN, as much as I loathe the talking to Rex Ryan, who's one of their analysts and of course former NFL coach of the New York Jets. He talked about how the one season team was playing very good. He had some really good teams in New York, the Jets. Team is playing very good. They go to New England to play, full of themselves, really ready to go. Well, they get their asses kicked, like, I don't know, 45-0 or 45-10 or 42-10, whatever it was. It was an ass whooping, just kind of like what the 49ers laid onto the Cowboys. And so Rex, I don't know if they watched film, but he went back to New York, buried the football, moved on from it. And he said, the only thing you do is, move on from it and hope that, you meet them down the road. He goes, you just laid an egg. You know your team's better. You prepared better than what you put out there. You say you just laid an egg. And hopefully it's not something, you need that game to make the playoffs. And hopefully it's not a late in the season type of game, but it's early enough in the season where you can recover from it. You see that team later on say, this is who we really are. And in that season, the Jets played the Patriots in the playoffs, and the Jets returned the favor. They were able to beat the Patriots. I don't remember the score exactly, but they're able to knock the Patriots out of the playoffs. So there's always that chance for redemption later on in the season in the playoffs. So both being NFC teams and such. So keep that in your back pocket. You never know, what could happen. It could be a rematch in the future. The Cowboys can get their payback, or they can get another ass whooping. Either way. Adam says, "Where's Eileen?" Eileen's probably working right now. She'll check in. I have no doubt, Adam. Eileen will check in. Maybe she forgot it's Wednesday. I don't know. Uriel says, "Your thoughts, Hall of Fame catcher Yadier Molina as next Mets manager." I love the Molinas. Terrific catchers. I love the catching position to begin with. And so Yadier has I don't know if it was Yadier or one of his older brother used to kill the Mets with the Cardinals in the playoffs. It probably was Yadier. There's so many different Molinas that I get mixed up with them. I think there's one or two still playing. So the Molina brothers are just they're everywhere throughout history. Terrific catchers, Hall of Fame catchers. But I wouldn't be opposed to that. So with Yadier Molina. Catchers, to begin with, are super smart. They're working with the pitcher, controlling the game, and they'll call out plays and stuff like that, and relay messages. So their hand is in a little bit of everything. They're the captain out. In my opinion, the catcher is the captain out there in the baseball field, or softball. My daughters play. My daughter's a catcher, and I tell her this all the time. You need to take control of the situation out there. You need to let your team know, hey, this is what we got going on. This is what we need to do, so on and so on. So catchers like that. That's why you see a lot of catchers as managers, like Mike Scioscia and stuff like that. So Yadier Molina, not only him being a catcher, used to being in charge, a captain, a leader, but also being young, can relate to the players of today. He's not super old. Like Buck, being 105, Yadier's, probably in his early 40s. I would assume somewhere around there. And so that's another plus. And also he's of a Hispanic heritage. With the Mets having a few Hispanic players on the team, there's a nice rapport you can get, and a way to reach those players in a different way than what a normal North American manager can't do. A manager from the United States or something. So I think that'd be that'd be something to look at. I don't think he's very high on the list. Not having experience and stuff like that does hurt, but. I would be, if the Mets came out and said, he's in our top three, I'd be pumped for that. Absolutely. Dave Yarnell says, that's right. We talked about this before. Dave Yarnell says, congrats to your Raiders on a big win against the Packers. Yeah. Awesome. I got to watch the first half before I headed off to work. And so I'll have to watch the rest of it sometime this week, week before I do the Silver and Black layer, where I talk Raiders football and LA Kings hockey. So, I was pumped because it was a tight game. The defense played well, not great, but well enough to win, and they did that. It's been a while since I said the defense won a game for us. Well, the defense won the game for us that on Monday night. We didn't get embarrassed on the national stage. I'm happy. Uriel says, I have a conspiracy theory. Ohtani felt burned by Billy Epler. He told Ohtani a bill of fake goods in L.A. He sold Ohtani a bill of fake goods in L.A. Billy had to go before Ohtani comes here. I don't know anything about that. I'm going to have to look that up. But, if that means that we get Ohtani, I'm cool with that. That Ohtani can't pitch in 2024, won't pitch in 2024, but he'll still be hitting. So, he'd absolutely take his bat in the lineup. What that does to Pete Alonso, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, I don't know. But, I talked about that last week. I would rather Yoshinobu Yamamoto and Pete Alonso over Shohei Ohtani. But, just because it's hard to say what kind of pitcher Shohei Ohtani will be after Tommy John surgery. Is he going to come back, better than ever? Is he going to come back the same? Is he going to come back less of a pitcher? Afraid to be injured again? Because he doesn't want to miss time. He's competitive, and you just don't know. Most pitchers seem to come back, okay. They never will return to their form. Then you'll have occasionally a player return to form, much like Justin Verlander. A year removed or whatever it was from his Tommy John surgery, he wins the AL Cy Young, a sub-2 ERA, double-digit wins, for Houston back in 2022. So you just never know. But if Yoshinobu Yamamoto, comes over, everything looks good, everything's on the up and up with him, I'd rather take him as a pitcher. And Pete Alonso doesn't hit quite for the same type of average as what Shohei Ohtani does, but power-wise, pretty much the same. I'll tell you, Pete hits the ball hard, but I feel like Shohei Ohtani hits the ball harder for some reason. I don't know what it is, but either way, it'd be an embarrassment of riches if we were able to get all three. I mean, but I just don't see it happening. That's so much money. I just do not see it happening, and we'll see what David Stearns has in store for us. What kind of president of baseball operations is he going to be? Is he even going to have a GM? That's a question. Is he just going to be the whole kit and caboodle in the front office there? We'll have to wait and see, because he's the one making all the decisions. So what do you need really need a GM for? Is he just going to be your mouthpiece? The GM so and so says the Mets have signed Shohei Ohtani. Or is it just going to be David Stearns? Everybody knows that David Stearns is going to be pulling the strings and making the calls, so why even pay a guy for it? So, excuse me. Adam Glenn says Shohei should sign with the Rangers. I don't know. They've had such a rough patch right now with signing pitchers. Granted, there are pitchers from the Mets, but, they signed Jacob deGrom to a big contract, hurt, Tommy John surgery. They trade, their best prospect, Luis Angel Acuna. I can't say it. Luis Angel Acuna. I don't know if it's Luis Angel or if it's Luis Angel Acuna, or I don't know how to say that, to be 100% honest with you. I've heard it said both ways, but I'm going to go Luis Angel Acuna. But they got him from the Rangers with Max Scherzer. Max Scherzer goes there. Pitch, the same he's done all season. He'll pitch the games that aren't as important. He pitches them well, but then the most important games he gets lit up, like against Houston. And he ends up hurt, misses is going to miss the playoffs. I assume there was a chance that he could pitch in the playoffs, but they said more than likely he will miss the entire postseason. The more than likely leaves just like a sliver, a crack open. That he could pitch, but for everything I've heard, he's not going to pitch. So the Rangers haven't had any good luck with signing pitchers, but they've been doing pretty well without them in the playoffs so far. All right, so Mets manager. So if you're a Mets fan, or even if a baseball fan, you casually follow the Mets, or just they pop up in your news feed for whatever. You accidentally clicked on a Mets link, and now you're stuck in Mets algorithm hell or something, whatever. It happens to me on TikTok. I'll stop and watch a video, and all of a sudden I'm stuck in that loop for forever. It's like, God damn, I stopped one time to watch a guy, eat, a 10-pound cheeseburger. Now every other video I have is competitive eating related. It's, I don't want to watch it. I wanted to watch a guy eat the hamburger, but I don't need to watch some guy eat 150 tacos or nothing like that. Or, a 50-foot sub or whatever. But anyway, so the names that are already put out there for the Mets managerial position, the Craig Counsell, who has ties to David Stearns already from being Milwaukee, who by all actions, I don't know what word I'm looking for, has done really, really well in Milwaukee. And, the whole, he's not returning to Milwaukee. He wants to take the year off, screams, I just don't want to be in Milwaukee without David Stearns, or I don't want to be in Milwaukee, with this, with a new, GM or new president of baseball operations, it's just that kind of stuff, even though I guess technically he was there this past season with him because David Stearns was just an advisor. So it seems like Council's going to move on from Milwaukee, and he said he was looking to take a year off. Well, that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. So he appears to be the front runner. I wouldn't be shocked as shit if 2 days from now or even today they announce Craig Counsell as their manager. I don't know how soon they could do that. Milwaukee is out of the playoffs, so whatever. Or I'd assume they'd want to go through interviews and stuff, but if that's the guy they want, that's the guy they want. They should have just hired him. I don't know what kind of interviewing guidelines there are. You have to interview like in the NFL, you have to interview minority candidates and so many different ones, and this, that, and the other. I'm not sure about that with baseball, but so everybody knows about Craig Counsell. Like I said, done a great job in Milwaukee, especially with David Stearns. They worked well together, so he's the front runner for everybody. Carlos Beltran, who I've been saying since the Mets brought him back last season in a front office position, that I thought that he was going to be the heir apparent to Buck. Buck was going to manage his contract out, whether it was good or bad, whether it was 3 winning seasons and 3 losses in the World Series, or 3 winning seasons and 3 exits in the first round, or 3 losing seasons. It would, whatever it was going to be. My thought was that Carlos Beltran was going to be the heir apparent to Buck Showalter. So now with all this going on, Buck being fired or resigning, whatever the hell you want to call it, David Stearns coming in, I don't know if that throws a wrench into the whole Beltran as a manager thing, but he's still getting a lot of push for it, a lot of press for it. And he's my front runner. He's the guy I want to see as the manager. Young guy, Met, former player, played. I think 2017 he retired. He's with Houston, so I assume he had crossed paths with David Stearns, who was there. Maybe they did just miss each other. David Stearns was in the Astros organization. Then he was with Milwaukee for 8 seasons, so maybe they just did miss each other. But I could be wrong. And I feel like for some reason Beltran played for the Astros earlier in his career as well. So maybe they crossed paths there. I don't know. But I feel like they might have crossed paths, so they do have some sort of relationship. And Carlos Beltran, again, like I talked about Yadier Molina that Yariel Rodriguez brought up. He's Hispanic, so he's able to relate to the Hispanic players as well as the American-born players or the North American-born players or whatever. So I think that's a huge bonus. To be 100% honest with you. And the one thing that I heard last night, I was listening to Wardy. Wardy does New York Mets podcast. I don't know if he's like an official New York Mets podcaster or whatever. Seems to be pretty official. He's not like some ham and egger like me. He seems very official and very knowledgeable and stuff like that. But he talked about how into player development Carlos Beltran is into. Now during spring training, he really worked hard with a lot of the minor leaguers, and trying to help develop them and stuff like that. And I think that's huge because I think right now we're at a really important point with the Mets where we have a lot of really, really decent young talent in our farm system. Probably the best that I can remember, to be honest with you. And going into last season, it basically was your core 4. You had Vientos, Beatty, Mauricio, and Alvarez. And now there's a decent handful. Jet Williams is on his way up, Vassell and stuff like that. And plus the guys we brought in, Gilbert, Acuna, so on and so on. So I think that'd be a huge bonus. And I also seen our boy Nelson, the Amish Country Mets fan, talk about that as he's doing currently doing New York Mets profiles, coaching candidate profiles, where he'll give a breakdown and a rundown of their whole career, each person that's connected to the New York Mets coaching position. So that's great. So if you have a chance and you're a Mets fan or even just a baseball fan, you're even interested a little bit into that, go to X, formerly known as Twitter, and check out Nelson. His handle's at Amish Country Mets fan. Check out his profile and his breakdown of Mets managing candidates. But that's one of the things that he also brought up in the breakdown of Carlos Beltran was his ability or his want-to work with the younger players, the minor league system, player development. And so even if he doesn't get the head coaching job, if he does interview for it, potentially he has something, bench wise with the Mets, or even something, in the player development branch, or whatever the hell you want to call it. Working with the minor leaguers and guys coming up, and or even I don't want to say scouting, but you know what I mean. Just working with the younger players and so I think that'd be good. Yariel Rodriguez says counsel under contract until October 31st. So there you go. So I knew the season was over, but I didn't know if they could talk to him immediately or whatever. But if he's under contract until the 31st, I guess they can't talk to him until after that, unless they had approval from the Milwaukee Brewers, which I wouldn't give the Mets. If I the Brewers, like, no, screw you, wait. And as far as I know, the Brewers owner and the Mets owner don't get along for whatever reason. Yariel Rodriguez also says Scherzer unleashed his inner wild spirit, adding an electrifying touch to both the wild card and AFCL celebrations. Scherzer didn't do anything, and he's washed up. I would have remained a spectator. Absolutely. And actually, I'm kind of surprised. I didn't see it, but if you're not playing, I don't even know why you'd want to celebrate. Just kind of get your free T-shirt and hat and just move on. But Scherzer, he goes by the beat of his own drum anyway. I'm not a big Scherzer fan. I never was a big Scherzer fan. I think he's a dickhead. I've said it on here. I've probably gone on 1,000 times. But he's a hell of a pitcher. I'll give him that. Was a hell of a pitcher. He still has gas in the tank, but he's not I don't think he's number one. He has number one stuff sometimes, but then there's sometimes where he doesn't. You need somebody more consistent as your number one to call them a true blue number one. But again, like I said, he does his own thing. So a couple of dark horse candidates that I wrote down that I was just thinking about, recently. One, Joe Madden, who I talked about. I don't know if I think I talked about on the show last week. Joe Madden has had great success as a manager. Won a World Series with the Cubbies back in, what was that, 16 or 17? I have it written down here. 2016. Took the Tampa Bay Rays to the World Series against the Phillies in 2008, I believe it was, right? Yeah, 2008. The Phillies were able to beat the Rays, I think, in 5. Terrific success. With the Rays, the first, I think, 2 seasons, I think, were losing seasons for him, but he was able to turn that around. They've been terrific ever since then. His last season in Tampa Bay was, I feel like, a losing season, and I don't know. I don't remember particulars of anything. I don't know if he left Tampa Bay or if he was fired from Tampa Bay or what the contract was up and just whatever. I don't know. But then he went to the Cubs. And had some terrific seasons with a 103 win season. The World Series year they had 103 wins with the Cubs. Fantastic. It was able to get them, break the curse. The curse of the GOAT or whatever the hell you want to call it. What was his name? The foul ball dude. I can't think of his name right now. I can picture him. With his little teal turtleneck and his navy blue sweatshirt. I think it was. What the hell was his name? He looked like a Greg with his glasses on and his little headphones. But anyway, so great success in Chicago, great success in Tampa Bay. With the Angels, not so much. With the Angels, not so much. Then he kind of was fired after a couple seasons there. So, but Joe Madden, he always seems to be a player friendly coach, which is something I think we need. Somebody that's going to let the players be themselves, and I think that's the kind of coach that Joe Madden is. I could be way off on that. And also, he also grew up, half hour from me in Hazleton, Pennsylvania. So he always kind of had a soft spot for Joe Madden, being a Pennsylvania guy and, cold region guy. So I think that's one name that I really liked out there that I thought would be a good candidate. His overall coaching records, 1,382 wins to 1,216 losses. Like I said, that World Series win, won the AL pennant with the Rays. So there's that. 19 years managing, plenty of experience, a little bit up there in years now, but could be that guy, for the next couple of years. Maybe groom somebody like a Carlos Beltran or a Yadier Molina. Bring Molina on the bench. Say, hey, I'm going to do this for 3 or 4 years. Then it's your show, kid. Maybe something like that. Who knows? So another name that I was thinking about was Don Mattingly. He hasn't had overly great success. He's coached well when he was with the Dodgers. Quite a few winning seasons there. With the Marlins, not so much. And I don't know if that's a product of a transition that Miami was going through, dumping a lot of salary and stuff like that. I don't know if that's really on Don Mattingly or not. Miami's roster for a while was really bad. But 12 seasons, he was a manager for 12 years with the Dodgers. 446 and 363. A pretty good winning record. Several years with 90-plus wins. Overall record was 889 and 950, so a lot of losses with the Marlins. So I'd like to see him get another shot. I think he's the bench coach in Toronto right now or something like that. I don't know if he's looking to be a manager again, or just saying, what, screw that. It's a headache. I don't need it. I don't know. It was just a name I thought. Being a former New York Yankees, he's dealt with the New York media. We kind of fit in, familiar with it and stuff like that. Seems I could be wrong, but he seems like he might be a little bit more strict. I could be wrong with that. Just like that could be just a misconception I have. So I don't know if he'd be a good fit or not. And then finally, another guy I thought would be should be on the Mets radar, but here's a guy that maybe he doesn't even want to manage. I don't know. Just a name I thought about that I've been thinking about recently that I wondered why he never had another shot, or maybe he just didn't want another shot. But it was Ron Washington. He's a coach with the Braves right now. I don't know what his exact. I guess he's a third base coach. I think that's what it was. But players love him. Players love Ron Washington. Fans love Ron Washington. Everybody loves Ron Washington. And I know when he coached with the Rangers, I was rooting for Ron Washington. I'm like, come on, Ron Washington, win that World Series. Never got to win the World Series with the Rangers. Took him to 2 World Series. I think it was 2010, 11, maybe something like that. But could never get that win. Had a lot of great seasons with the Rangers. 8 seasons with Texas, a record of 664 and 611. 5 seasons of 90-plus wins, 6 winning seasons out of those 8 years, 2 AL pennants. Pretty good. It's not bad at all. But never really got another chance after that. And it kind of surprises me, especially with the amount of love that players and the fans, give Ron Washington. And if you ever seen Moneyball, Ron Washington, he was a coach for the Oakland Athletics, so he's in that movie there. He's the one showing what's his name? How to play first base. I can't think of it right now. Oh shit, what was his name? Hatterberg. He's trying to showing Hatterberg how to play first base and trying to teach him and stuff like that. So I thought that was pretty cool. And I do remember before the All-Star, during the All-Star break, before the All-Star game, Pete asked him if he could work with him doesn't matter to see where I go. I'm going to have internet issues and it's going to piss me off. So I'm going to push through it though. I'm going to do this. So Washington worked with Pete, on his defense, first base defense and stuff like that. So there's some they're familiar there. And, if we're able to re-sign Pete, so maybe Pete can give him say, hey, how about Washington? Why not? Like I said, maybe he doesn't even want to do it. I don't know. That's just a name that I thought of that seems to be well-respected. And I think the reason he resigned or left Texas or they got rid of him, I feel like there was a scandal with cocaine. But I'm sure he's past that. He's 72 years old or whatever. So I'm sure he's past the cocaine part of his life. I'm sure he is. But I think it was something with that, but I could be wrong. So those are my dark horses that I nobody's really talking about. I don't think anyway. I did see the Joe Madden one. It was a name that I was thinking about. I didn't put it out there on the old Twitter box, the X box. I can't call it the X box. That's a gaming system. But anyway, you know what I mean. The X, formerly known as Twitter box. I think it was a Metscast pod or Mets pod, whoever it was, put it out there about Joe Madden. The name that he's heard come up, and so I'm like Jesus Christ, it was like deja vu, or it was like something eerie going on there because I was just thinking about that like a half hour, 45 minutes before that, and so it was kind of spooky. Woo. Anyway. Those are just a couple of guys that I thought about that, again, like I said, nobody else seems to be talking about except for Joe Madden a little bit, but nobody's mentioned Ron Washington. Like I said, maybe he doesn't even want to coach. I haven't seen anybody mention Don Mattingly. Maybe he doesn't want to be a head coach. I don't know. But I think those guys deserve looks. We got a comment from Yariel Rodriguez. Rate my 4 plans the Mets must do to improve 2024. Sign 2 starting pitchers. Sign many relievers. 1 big-time hitter. Re-sign Alonso. What's my score? No, those are all huge moves for the offseason. So for me, first would be the relievers. Bullpen needs to be restructured. It was so bad this year. The Mets would have had a much better record with a different bullpen. I mean, as up and down as our starting pitching was, there was points where it was good enough to win games, and our bullpen would just let it go. Now, granted, some parts of that bullpen were, overworked, due to our starting pitching not going very deep in games, but they need to do a better job. And I feel like there's many relievers in that bullpen, Drew Smith, Brigham, Noga. I don't think he'll be back. Shouldn't be back, but we'll see what happens. And the one big time hitter, I don't know. I just when you say big time hitter, I don't know if you mean power hitter. I mean, the Mets had plenty of pop this year, more pop than I thought they would have had. With Nimmo being 20 plus home runs, Lindor 30 plus home runs, Pete 40 plus home runs, Alvarez 25 home runs. I mean, if Beatty's able to get Beatty and Vientos are able to hit the way that they were in AAA, 20 plus home runs, big bats, we'd have more than enough pop. Now, if you're talking about big time hitter, like a clutch hitter, somebody that's continuously getting on base, through average walks or whatever, I can agree there. Whether that be an outfielder or whatever. But and I think the DH spot was a huge bugaboo again this year, like it was last season. Really shit the bed with some of the DHs that we've used. Now, Like when we had Tommy Pham DH once in a while, but he also played a lot of outfield. He did well there. At the end of the season with what the hell's his name? Stewart, DJ Stewart. With him, he did well DHing a little bit, but also playing the field some. The thing that gets under my skin with Vogelback is that's all he can do is DH. And if that's all you can do, you better be really good at it. And he's not really good at it. He's even one-dimensional as a DH hitter. That blows my, like, you're a one-dimensional baseball player because you could only hit. Now, that's the only thing you can do, and you're one-dimensional at that because you can only hit against, righties. That blows my mind. Like, why would anybody want something like that on their roster unless every time he gets up there, he's able to perform against that righty? No, he hit 230, 233. So he's not performing. If he hit 350 or whatever when he was in there, 20 home runs, all right, hey, that's awesome. Every time you're facing righties, you're killing it. That's not even the case. He's mediocre at best against righties. And he's terrible against lefties, and he doesn't even hit against lefties, so you don't even know. Yariel says, sign one big-time hitter, meaning sign Bellinger or Gurriel or J.D. Martinez. So if we go that route, that means I would guess Shohei Ohtani's definitely out. Those guys, Bellinger's he's gonna want a big contract. J.D. Martinez, he's gonna want a big long-term contract. Uriel Gurriel, I don't know. I mean, in a perfect world, that'd be awesome. I feel like I've heard J.D. Martinez mentioned a couple times with the Mets, but I could be wrong. I don't know. That could be just my head lumping stuff together like mashed potatoes. Cody Bellinger, that'd be A-okay in my book. But I think did he struggle this year, Cody Bellinger, a little bit? Or was that the season before? Maybe that was the season before. He's with the Cubs, I think, right? But either one of any of those guys, any team would love to have them on their team. But having young guys coming up as well, who knows where? I know Drew Gilbert, since the Mets picked him up from Houston, has killed it in the minor leagues. Now, what happens with Beatty, Vientos, Mauricio? What happens with those guys? Do one of those guys transition to the outfield? Starling Marte, I'd rather see Starling Marte go. So I think it all depends on what they're going to do with some of these guys. What are they going to do with Beatty, Vientos, Mauricio? Do they keep all three? Do they lose one? Try to rebuild the bullpen through trading one of those guys. Which I don't want to see any of those guys go because they're so young. I'd like to see what they can do in year 2 or 3. The rookie season isn't what they're going to be in their career. Or do they bring somebody else up? Luis Angel Acuna, his brother Ronald Acuna says that he's better than he is. Whatever. That's a brother thing to say. So, that is what it is. Take that with a grain of salt. Yeah, I feel like those guys are probably everyday players. I would say probably no. In my opinion, if you're going to be looking for another big bat, you're looking for something. I don't know. It's a tough question because you're looking at Ohtani. Do you go after Ohtani and spend $350, $400 million and hope that you have the unicorn that was in with the Angels, or you just go with one of these guys who isn't going to produce as much as what Ohtani did, but maybe they produce as much as Ohtani will. I don't know. I would say no. Ariel, that's my gut. Without really looking into it, I would say no. But you never know. With the way we spent last season, they said they're going to be a little bit tighter with the spending. But what does that mean? Instead of spending 304, instead of spending 400 million, we spend 300 million. That's still a huge amount. But I mean, any like I said, any team would love to have any of those guys. So, all right. So moving on from the Mets manager talk to grades for the season. So I went through. I graded the more like the everyday type players. I didn't go through the whole roster. Who has time for that? I don't have time for that. With work and all the crap that I got myself into. But I did the you're like your everyday players, the well-known players. I graded them for their season. Francisco Alvarez, I gave a C. I thought he had a decent season, rookie season. He really slumped hard near the end, and and so there was one thing we've talked about on the show before, especially I think it was last week. We talked about how it seemed like he lost a little bit of his pep. And we were trying to figure out, do we contribute that to Buck? Was it something there? Was it something internal? I don't know. But he didn't seem to be himself after like he was earlier in the season when he was killing it. He seemed like he was a little bit more subdued. And I don't want a subdued Francisco Alvarez. I want peppy Francisco Alvarez. I want hot tamale Francisco Alvarez. So. But overall, a really good season. 25 home runs, 63 ribs, 721 OPS is all right. 209 average is not all right. You like to see him get that up at least to the 230s, 240s. For catchers, catchers a lot of work behind the plate. Catchers tend to have the lower averages and stuff like that for the most part. Normally, every once in a while you have those guys like a JT Realmuto, who hit for power average and is a terrific catcher. He's just a terrific athlete. Or the lad in Atlanta they picked up from the A's, Sean something. Sean oh god, it's at the tip of my tongue. Sean Murphy. Usually hits pretty well for average as well. So I gave Francisco Alvarez a C. I thought he did well behind the plate. As the season went on, he got better working with the pitchers. Early in the season, you can see some struggles, especially with him and Max. And again, Max is a dickhead, so who knows what that is about. Brett Beatty, I gave a D. It was a long season for Brett Beatty. You could tell it was a long season for Brett Beatty. He's even got sent down to AAA again. He struggled at some points of the season, and but you know what? He kept battling. Came back after being sent down. He came back and played all right. And I'd like to see that power come back next season. Defense wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be. Had a couple of huge flubs, and you even talked about it. Struggling at the plate, then going out in the field. It's hard to concentrate, and you can't have that in the field. You need to be 150% focused in the field, because if you're not, you're getting 110 mile an hour line drive at you, and either it's hitting you, your glove, or it's going somewhere. And you can't have plays like that, especially at third base. The hot corner, they call it the hot corner for a reason. Mark Vientos, I also gave a D. Beatty hit 212, 9 home runs, 34 RBI, 558 OPS. Vientos, I gave a D. And I really struggle. I thought about giving him a D plus, which doesn't whatever the hell that means. When I went to school, if I got a D or D plus, is the same goddamn thing. D minus, D plus. That was all the same to me. Now I get it. Minus, closer to the next grade below, and especially a D minus, right next to failing. But it's still a D. A D is the D. But for some reason, that's how I grade stuff. That's how people grade stuff. Even though I don't believe in it, the plus, the minus, whatever. So So Vientos hit 211, 9 home runs, 22 RBIs, 620 OPS. He didn't have nearly as much playing time as what Beatty did. So that's where I kind of struggled. Like, did he really do all that bad? But he came up, wasn't getting the consistent at bats, and people were just killing Buck for it. Now looking back at it, was it Buck or was it Epler? You kind of feel bad for Buck for the stuff that he said about Buck. Buck's an idiot. Why isn't he hitting, Vientos over Vogelback? Why is Vogelfat still in there? Blah, blah, blah. And it wasn't Buck. So, oh, well, we didn't know. And so he gets sent back down to AAA. So where he gets some at-bats. As soon as he starts getting those at-bats, he starts crushing the ball again. They bring him back up, and he plays much better. So, where does he fit in? Does he fit in as a DH? Outfielder? He played a little bit third base and first base. Where does he fit in with the Mets? So that's going to be interesting to see what happens moving forward. What they do with Mark Vientos. Pete Alonso, I gave a C+ to 217 average, 46 home runs, 118 RBIs, 821 OPS. So the power is still there, the production is still there. Huge slump through June. June, everybody was slumping, but it was really, I think Pete really led the way with the slumping in June. Led into July a little bit, and still made the All-Star team because he started off really, really well through April and May. And but I mean, just the power dropped off, the average dropped off through June. It was just really, really bad for Pete, and was able to battle back a little bit. He was able to get the average up to the 220s a little bit, then drop back down, back up to the 220s. So next season, I'd like to see him get that average up a little bit, 250. So if you look at his career numbers year by year, you take out the COVID year, he's usually like a 260, 270 hitter. So some of that would be fantastic again. But this past season hitting 217 was hopefully an anomaly. Hopefully that's not how it's going to be moving forward. And he's back to what he was, driving the ball to all parts of the field and not just looking to pull to left and over swinging. So I gave him a C+. And I thought he played better at first base. He's never going to be a great first baseman, but I feel like he played better. He's going to be an okay first baseman, and I'm cool with that. He's a hell of a bat to lose if you're going to lose him. So hopefully they figure it out and they re-sign his ass and keep him in New York for the rest of his career, and maybe have him maybe the Hall of Fame. Who knows? By the time he's eligible for a Hall of Fame, numbers will be exploded and his numbers will look normal. But you never know. But he'll definitely be if he's able to stay a Met for his whole career, he'll be in the New York Met Hall of Fame. Which take it for what you will. I'd like to be in the New York Mets Hall. I'd like to be in anybody's Hall of Fame. That'd be awesome. But dreams. Francisco Lindor, I gave a B. I felt like he was our MVP for the season. He's our best player. I feel like he stepped up as a leader this year, as almost like a captain. I'm not ready to say that he is the captain, but between him and Pete, I feel like one of those two guys should be the captain or whatever. If you need to name somebody the captain for your baseball team, one of those two guys, I would imagine would be it. So I gave Lindor a B. Played a terrific shortstop this season. Hopefully he gets that Gold Glove. Power, really, terrific power. 31 home runs, 98 RBIs, 30-30 guy. 31 stolen bases, 806 OPS, average 254. So it was down. And I'll tell you what, man, he battled so much this year for the amount of shit that he took earlier in the season. Because his average is way down, but his power numbers were up, and he was hitting somewhat in the clutch. He really he got a decent sized spanking from most of the Mets Twitter, and I was one of them. I was like, he shouldn't be an all-star. He's hitting whatever the hell it was, 220 then, and his average got even lower than that, into the two teens. I don't think it was down in the low 200s, like 209, 208. I don't think it got that low. I could be wrong, but he battled back. He got his average all the way up to 250. I thought there was a chance that he could pass Nimmo out. Nimmo, led the team out in average for almost the whole season, and finished. I think he finished. Yeah, he finished as with the best average for your everyday players overall. But I thought there was a chance that he could have caught Nimmo, which would have been insane. So McNeil C minus. He really struggled for most of the season. Really came on nicely at the end of the season, though. Was able to pull his average up to 270, where being last year's batting champ, had the best batting average all of baseball last year. To hit in the low 200s for most of the season, was able to get up to 270. He had 10 home runs, 55 RBI, 711 OPS. It seemed like he was such a different player this year. Wasn't really last year he was poking and infield singles, little bloop singles, stuff like that, which get on base for our guys to knock you in. Wasn't doing that this year. A ton of pop ups. It seemed like he's over swinging for the fences, whatever you want to call it. But I mean, a ton of pop ups, a lot of striking out. I believe that's what it felt like anyway. I'd have to go back and look at the numbers on that. So Jeff McNeil gave a C minus, and a lot of trade rumors for Jeff. I've speculated a couple times. Maybe they should trade Jeff. And if they trade, I want them to keep Jeff McNeil. I think he's a great player. I think he's an important part of the team. But if they were to trade him, the only way you trade Jeff is if you get something decent in return. You just don't trade him just to get rid of him. You trade him if what the other team's giving you. You just can't pass up. That's my opinion on it. Otherwise, you're keeping Jeff McNeil. Brandon Nimmo, B minus. He hit 274, 24 home runs, 68 RBI, 829 OPS. Didn't have many stolen bases at all. I think single digit stolen bases, like 3, 5, somewhere around there. Really surprised me. I thought he would have had more stolen bases. Average, early in the part of the season was in the 300s, and media was loving him. Mets, made the right call in re-signing or bringing back Brandon Nimmo because he was a free agent. He hit free agency. And the Mets, go test the market. And, he was going here, he was going there. All these rumors swirling around. But he came back to be a Met, and the Mets did make the right call, I believe, re-signing Brandon Nimmo because he is a jovial guy. He's an upbeat kind of guy, and it's important to have guys like that on your roster. He's a super hustler. He's not going to dog anything, and started off super hot, then he cooled off. Just like, a bunch of the other Mets. The Mets started off well in April and most of May, and then just kind of fell off the map. 24 home runs. I think he only had 16 or 17 last year. So it's nice to see him hitting for power, but, I like to see him get on base a lot more. And then Daniel Vogelback, a D. I wanted to give him an F, but I couldn't because he's a chubby guy, and us chubby guys do stick together. Just like our thighs. Hit 233, 13 home runs, 48 RBI, 742 OPS. I hope and pray to the baseball gods that Daniel Vogelback is not in a New York Mets uniform next year. I don't care if David Stearns does have a relationship with him through Milwaukee. I don't care. I pray to the baseball gods, to Mr. Met, that Daniel Vogelback is not a New York Met next season. I don't know if I can handle it again, watching him walk up there and just watch 3 pitches without swinging. I can't do it. A couple comments here. Yariel Rodriguez, I can't wait for Drew Smith and Trevor Gott grades. That'll be next week. So make sure you tune in next week. I'm going to hit starting pitching and the bullpen next week. Yeah, it's a lot of Fs. A lot of Fs going around there, buddy. I'll tell you what. He says Sean Murphy. That was the name I was struggling to remember. I knew Sean, and then like what the hell is his last name that Murphy popped in? So, and then of course Adam Glenn trying to kick me in the nuts here, saying team grade O for overrated. Yeah. It is what it is. It's we get a lot of crap for spending all this money and not winning anything, and for it and stuff like that. But you know what? I'm happy to have an owner that's trying. That's putting money out there, trying to make a team a World Series winner. Now, did he go about it the right way? Obviously not, because it didn't work. But that being said, we are a better team now because of it, because of the hauls that we've gotten, through the minor league system. We could use that for leverage for trades in the future, or those guys can turn out to be superstars. You don't know. You don't know. You could have every scout in the world saying, "Yeah, it's a can't miss prospect," but they still have to perform. So I mean, there's good and there's bad with it. In the end, it's his money, and he felt like that's what needed to be done, and it didn't work. So you kind of just smooth it over and start again. Try a different way. It's like building a sandcastle, right? You get the bucket, you pat all the sand in there. It's like, this is going to be awesome. You turn it around, and it's a pile of shit. It didn't form the way you wanted it at all. It's all crumbled up, and it's too much water. There's not enough water, or whatever. Well, what do? You smooth it over, get the bucket, fill it up again, try again. Maybe a different route, a little bit less water, more water, whatever. That is, I'll tell you what. Of all the shows that I've done, that has to be easily the best analogy I've ever had. So I'll tell you what, if you're watching this show now, right now, and there's, according to my little screen here, there's two of you. So both of you, Yariel Rodriguez and Adam Glenn, you're welcome. That was a hell of an analogy I just had there. You're more than welcome to use that in any part of your life that you'd like to. With that being said, with shows, I'd like to shout out Out of the Box Sports Entertainment, Paul Spencer, starting Out of the Box Sports Entertainment up with Joey Wood. A year and a half ago, I guess it is now, 2 years ago. We just hit 500 episodes yesterday with MLB Extra Innings, or was it extra? Or no, it was the Sully Squad, I think. The Sully Squad was our 500th episode on Monday. Congratulations to Paul and to Joey. I mean, I know Joey's not with Out of the Box Sports right now, but huge part of it, getting it going with Paul and stuff like that. So shout out to those two guys for getting this ball rolling, and everybody here at the network, guys that have been with us before, that don't do podcasts with us right now, but they're a part of the family, and everybody that's currently doing podcasts, doing shows with us, congratulations. We all should pat ourselves on the back, Barry Horowitz style. So there we go. If you don't know who Barry Horowitz is, look it up. Wrestler. Adam Glenn thinks he's the number one fan, but he keeps talking shit. So Eileen's the number one fan. She's working. No, Adam, you've been there since day one. Every show you check into, Eileen checks into. Much appreciated. It's unbelievable. I mean, sending me text messages or messages through Messenger. Hey, is this show going to be on? Hey, I can't check out this show. Awesome. I appreciate it very much. Anybody that checks these shows out, shares the shows, subscribes to the channel, anything. I appreciate it. We appreciate it very much here at Out of the Box Sports Entertainment. And here's to many more episodes and hopefully coherent content. That's what I'm pulling for. Coherent content. Like I mentioned before, I'm not like I'm a fan of the Mets. I'm a fan of the Raiders, Kings, wrestling. I'm a fan of sports, period. But I'm not a fanatic. I'm not the guy that knows all the stats or knows all the names or knows who's coming up or knows that the number 3 hitter for the Seattle Mariners is so and so. I don't know. I don't know none of that stuff. I don't care to know that stuff. I know my team for the most part, and that's what I like to talk about. And a lot of times it doesn't make sense, to you, but it makes sense to me. So I try to relay that as best as I can. All right, so moving forward from there, I guess we'll talk a little bit playoff baseball before I do my power rankings. And we got an overlay here for the. Is this it? I don't think so. No, that's the power rankings. Don't look at the power rankings. All right, there we go. We'll talk a little bit of playoff baseball. So I gave my predictions last week, and I think I predicted them all around. Let me go back. Let's see. I keep notes for everything because I forget. So Yariel, I know this is the first time you ever checked into the show, I believe, and so I forget a lot of stuff. So I'm always writing notes because I can't remember. So here we go. So last week I said I'm taking Rangers over the Rays. Check. Which I wasn't surprised by because I knew the Rangers are a really good team, but I was surprised it was a sweep. I took the Phillies over the Marlins. Check. I was not surprised that was a sweep. Phillies are an awesome team. Marlins, lucky to be there. Brewers, I took the Brewers over the Diamondbacks. Wah, wah. And again, shocked as shit it was a sweep. The Brewers have pretty good pitching and a decent lineup, a power hitting lineup. I was surprised. And I took the Blue Jays over the Twins. Wah, wah. And again, shocked as shit that it was a sweep. If anything, I would have thought the Blue Jays would have swept the Twins. So, absolutely surprised. So looking ahead, and this is the part of that stinks about moving on, but doing Wednesday to Wednesday, like not doing every other day or whatever. Is stuff happens, and you're prep for a show. And it's meaningless. You have the Rangers versus the Orioles up there. It's over. The Rangers already moved on, so it doesn't matter. I did pick the Rangers to beat the Orioles. I talked about that last week. So I had that one right. Twins versus Astros. I believe the Astros are now up in that series 2-1. Yeah. Yeah, Houston's up 2-1. I feel like it's only inevitable. It's inevitable that they're gonna knock the Twins out. It's just too much. There's too much. Pitching with Houston. The hitting is the lineup for the most part, top to bottom. Very very good, and they're getting clutch hitting right now as well. Twins. I don't know how the hell they're still there. They got hot at the right time, so kudos to them. But I think they're on their way out. Diamondbacks versus the Dodgers. I know that shocks the shit out of me. Diamondbacks up 2-0. I wonder if the Dodgers are kind of like if they're a fraud. They kind of hit out there out west. San Diego had a terrible season this year. San Francisco was up and down. And they played better than expected, to be honest with you. It was San Francisco because they were looking to spend all sorts of money. They were going to get Aaron Judge. They lost him. They were going to get Carlos Correa. They lost him. And, they ended up with the lineup that they had. They got Michael Conforto. If you're, thinking Mets, they got Michael Conforto. They got, what the hell's his name? Darren Ruff. And they got, there's somebody else that was a Met that actually played well for him this year. JD. I can't think of it. I think it's JD something though. I just cannot manifest his name in my brain here. So yeah. So the Dodgers, kind of hiding out west there. The Diamondbacks were really good for a while. They fell back. I actually said I didn't think the Diamondbacks were going to make the playoffs. I thought they would have fell back far enough. But they did fall out of the playoffs. So they were able to slither their asses way back in there. And they're playing well. I mean, they're able to go through the first round through Milwaukee, who I thought was the better team. Arizona's a very young team. And, so far they're doing it against the Dodgers. knocking Scherzer, or not Scherzer, knocking Kershaw out after, I think, an inning or the third or something like that. So it's, watch out for the Diamondbacks. One more win out of the next 3 games, and that's all they need. One win out of 3 games to move on. I think I have I don't know. I won't pass it again. But if I was picking now, I would have picked the Dodgers. Probably 3 games to 1. Phillies Braves. That's the series to watch. Phillies did a hell of a job for game 1. Come back game 2 up 4-0. Wheeler's just dealing. I was watching that game like, Jesus Christ. He's getting angrier and angrier at Brody Van Wagen for trading him to Philly. Like, freaking Wheeler. What could have been with the Mets? He's dealing with the Phillies. And then, I think it was a walk to Acuna, and then was it Arcia or Ozuna? I don't remember who it was that was after Acuna ripped that double down the line to scoring Acuna and making it 4-1, and you're like, uh-oh. It didn't help that Turner had a couple errors at shortstop, and the base running gaff by Bryce Harper at the end there, where it was 5-4 is the bottom of the 9th. Castellanos gave it a ride, center field, great catch by Michael Harris, a second, and able to get the ball in. The ball's rolling around, for crying out loud, in the infield. But Bryce Harper, super aggressive. He wants to score if that ball hits the wall. From first base, he has to get a decent jump because Michael Harris does cover a lot of ground out there. So you have to figure he'd field it pretty quickly, and Bryce being the tying run with only 1 out, you don't want to get to third base and have there be 2 outs. If he does, well, no, I guess that doesn't make sense. If he does catch it, you're going to be at first base anyway. But just overly aggressive Bryce Harper, and so he doesn't get back to first base. They double him off and end the game. What the interesting part now has been coming out lately is that Arcia was kind of laughing at Bryce Harper and making a joke out of it, after the game on the field, not like in the clubhouse or in a dugout or anything, like on the field, how do you like that, Bryce? And then laughing and, pointing and stuff like that. So, I mean, that's one bear I wouldn't want to poke. He's just one of those guys, one of those special players that, can just turn and get super hot and actually carry his team. Bryce Harper is an emotional switch. He flips that switch. He brings out those emotions. The whole team reacts to it, and it's like they morph into one big giant super Harper, like a Voltron or a Transformer. The super Harper. It's insane, and I kind of you have to wonder if Arcia kind of poked the bear a little bit there. Well, we're gonna have to wait and see. But I believe they play tonight. I'm very curious to see what happens with that. Here we go. We got a couple comments. Yariel says Dodgers look sluggish. They sat around waiting too long for, and so that's something I wanted to talk about. Thank you for bringing that up, Yariel. I'll go through a couple more comments before I talk about that. Should the wild card round move to a one and done series? Adam Glenn says, great catch. And there he is, our boy, Paul Spencer. I guess you weren't watching earlier because now the number's up to 3, and there'll be you, Adam, and Yariel, the 3-man band here. But yeah, congratulations, Paul, 500 episodes. As I mentioned, how you started, you and Joey Wood, and here we are now, 500 episodes later. Thanks to all the content creators, whether they're still with us, on the network or not, a hell of a job. A lot of work has gone into it, through you, through us as a family. So congratulations to you and Joey. I know Joey doesn't, do the out of the box stuff anymore, but he was there in the beginning with you, and I came along a little bit later. But yeah, great job. I've loved every second of it. So hopefully there's at least 500 to 5,000 more. All right. So back to this comment by Ariel. So I don't think – I do agree that I feel like the buys are hurting the 1 and 2 seeds. We've seen it last year. We're seeing it this year. With the Orioles getting their asses slaughtered by the Rangers. The Astros, they come out, they lose game 1 right away. They did win the next 2, but again, they start off losing game 1. The Dodgers, they're the 2 seed in the National League, lose the first 2 games. And then the Braves, they come out, they lose the first game. They're losing all the way up until the 7th inning or whatever it was, 4-0. I believe it is too long of a layoff. So my thought is they need to either incorporate these 1 and 2 seeds into the wild card round somehow. I don't think they should shorten it. I love the wild card round. I like the 3-game series, like it's a regular series. I don't like the one and dones. I like giving the other team a shot, because it's well, like for the wild card, you fight to get into it. You might use your best pitcher, the last day of the season to get into it, and then you're using your number 2 or 3 guy, in your 1 game. It's I want the best, versus the best. And if you have, make it a 3-game series, you're still going to get a shot to at least get your number 1 starter in game 2. If you have to use, if you had to use him at the end of the season, you can still get him in there for game 2. So, your best pitcher does have a chance to win you a game. That's my thought on it. So I think they need to incorporate the 1 and 2 seeds into the wild card round. No buys, because it's just not. I think it hurts more than it helps. That's my thought on it. What they would do. 1 versus what would it be, 8, I guess, or something like that, and just do it like a normal bracket play. Go off of that 3-game series. I can't imagine any coach right now saying that the layoff that they have from the end of the season to the divisional round is good for their team. It's it does help rest your bullpen or your pitching staff a little bit, but when is it too much rest? Maybe this sounds kind of insane. They play 3 days in a row for the wild card round. Maybe make that first game a doubleheader. I don't know. That sounds a little bit insane, but that would take a little bit of the time out that the other teams are sitting. I don't know. I don't know what the solution would be. My thought would be just have them play in the wild card round. But if you want to get crazy with it, make it a doubleheader. Games 1 and 2 right off the bat, that's a doubleheader. And if you need game 3, that's the next night. I mean, that could be a way to look at it, I guess. Or have it where the start of the next series happens right away. The next day after the end of the next series. I guess you need a travel day sometimes. But let's say it's a 3-game series for your wild card, but it ends on game 2. There's no really need to wait for game 3 to pass by because it's already done. So have that next series, divisional series, start right away. I mean, I don't know. There's different things that you can do with it, but I feel like the layoff is hurting more than it's helping. That's my thought. I assume that's what you're thinking as well, Yariel. Adam Glenn says it's a bullpen game tonight. Spencer pitching tomorrow. It's a bullpen game tonight. Spencer pitching tomorrow. Then the bank will be rocking. Series ends tomorrow. Yo, what's a bullpen game? Are you saying that you're like, what are you starting with here? Do you have Nola? Do the Phillies have Nola going tonight, or do they have Suarez? I guess Nola would be next, right? I don't know. Paul Spencer says, thank you, Ken, and the incredible host, our graphics guy, who is Paul. LOL, most important thanks to all of the viewers and sponsors that have supported us the entire journey. Here's to 500 more. Out of the box sports is here to stay. Absolutely agree, 150,000%. Yariel says, I vote we get rid of the wild card, go back to the old system. First round is AL East, first AL West, NL East, first NL West. I like the wild card. I like more teams being involved. I think it makes the end of the season more interesting. Because if you look at it this season, if you're just going AL West versus NL West, like it used to be, you only had two divisions. You had a shitload of teams in this division and a shitload of teams in that division, and that was it. And so if you go back to that, the Braves won their division by what, 150 games or something like that. The season would have been over by August, or by the beginning of August, late July. I mean, so you lose interest there. So I think with the wild card, it keeps more fan bases interested. But I think it also keeps more of the casual fan interested as well, which is, where Major League, gets, I don't know how to say it, gets a lot of views. If I would imagine it's more casual fans watching. You have more casual fans and more hardcore fans. Your hardcore fans are going to be a smaller group than what your casual fans are. I think I don't know. What the hell do I know? I'm not some sort of, TV, I don't know what I'm trying to say. I don't know the numbers to it or anything like that, but I just think that more teams involved keeps more people interested in it at the end of the season. Whereas if this season, the West, I don't know how many games the Dodgers finished ahead of the Diamondbacks, but I feel like it was probably close to double digits. It had to be double digits. It had like 10 games, 11 games. So you have to figure that these divisional races are over, pretty early, and a lot of people would lose interest. And I think that would hurt baseball. More people with the more eyes on your product, the better. And if that means adding a wild card, so be it. I think just need to get rid of the break. Dave Yarnell says, Adam, not happening. They're going to rock Nola today. Give me a break. Braves in 5. Where the hell is Mr. Positivity at? Dave Yarnell. Usually you're the pom-pom waiver. You're like, they'll get it, stuff like that. You're Mr. Positivity, which I'm a positive dude, but you're way past what I am. You're Mr. Positivity. You got the suit at home. I just have the underwear. Oh, man. Adam says it's a bullpen game for the Braves. Okay, I got it. I hate bullpen games. Dave Yarnell says Braves starting pitcher today is A.J. Smith-Shawver. A.J. Smith-Shawver. Yeah, that sounds like a bullpen game. Adam Glenn says Dave is a hater. He doesn't bleed red. That's what it is, Adam Glenn. Dave does not bleed red. He's a pretender. He's not a true blue bell guy. He's not ringing anything. All right, so before I move on to my last topic here, the power rankings, I'm going to go ahead and do my sponsor reads here for all you for the millions and millions out there watching. We'll start off with the OG, Jay Fine Law, Jason Fine. You can call attorney Big Al at 1-800-HURT-123. That's 1-800-HURT-123. Jason Fine, Jay Fine Law specializes in motor vehicle accidents, slip and falls, workman's comp, and personal injury claims. You can reach Jason Fine, at 3 office locations throughout Pennsylvania and New Jersey. In Cherry Hill, New Jersey, the office is located at 3 Greensward Lane. The number there is 856-209-5258. In Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the office is located at 500 Grant Street, Suite 2900. The number there is 412-365-8151. Then in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the office is located at 1628 JFK Boulevard, Suite 2120. And the phone number there is 267-888-2980. That's Jason Fine. Be sure to mention Out of the Box Sports Entertainment, and they'll hook you up. And then we go to the monkeycoltcoffee.com. Make sure you get yourself some monkeycoltcoffee.com. They have, make sure you get yourself some Monkey Colt coffee. They have a newer blend out. Their newest blend is organic blend, Perula, Florida. Like I said last, I think on the Silver and Black layer, I was talking about. So I don't know how the hell to say this. Do I go Latino with it? Do I go Peru la Florida? Roll my R's. I don't know. Peru la Florida. I don't know. I don't know how to say it. So Peru la Florida is what it's going to be. I'm going to Pennsylvania it up. So be sure to check that out at monkeycoltcoffee.com. Also, the bourbon chocolate chip, the OG coffee from Monkey Colt Coffee. My personal favorite is a toasted coconut rum. And then there's also a newer blend they have. There's a Sumatra blend, a medium roast coffee, very good. They also have a bunch of swag in their shop. They have T-shirts for sale. They have coffee mugs. They have tumblers. The cold brew pitcher, which is easy, really easy to use. Very simple. K-cup adapter for all you K-cuppers. And don't forget your rum cake. Be sure to get your Paradise rum cake, very good, at monkeycoltcoffee.com. So once you load up your virtual shopping cart there, at checkout, be sure to use that promo code OOTB Sports. The promo code, once again, is OOTB Sports at monkeycoltcoffee.com. And finally, Dugout Mugs. Go to dugoutmugs.com. Get your ultimate game day mug there. They have all the teams. I think they do have some colleges. They have Skyline mugs. They have Hall of Fame mugs. A couple of the Hall of Fame players had their signature inscribed into the side of the mug. So a bunch of different varieties. You can also get your mug with your logo. If you have a logo or a company logo or whatever the hell you want to put on there, you have a cat or something. I want my cat on a piece of wooden baseball bat. There you go. Just send him a picture of your kitty cat, and he'll be forever immortalized on a dugout mug. They have the regular dugout mug. Some of them have the logos colored, a different kind of wood used on some of the dugout mugs. They have shortstop dugout mugs, which is a little bit smaller than a regular one. They have wine glass dugout mugs. They have coasters with your teams on them. They have baseballs that are cut in half for bottle openers. A whole bunch of stuff there. They have knob shots, which is the bottom of the baseball bat as a shot glass. Well, I guess I don't even call it glass. It's wood. I don't know what that would you call it. Shot wood. I don't know. Whatever. Really, really cool stuff. So check them out at dugoutmugs.com. Use that promo code OOTB Sports 20. That's OOTB Sports 20 for 20% off. Guys, remember, Christmas is right around the corner. I mean, you get your wife. The wife is like, she's like, honey, surprise me this year for Christmas. And you're like, you know what? My wife really needs. She really needs a dugout mug. So get her if she's a fan of the Chicago Cubs, get her a Chicago Cubs dugout mug. She'll love you forever. Who knows? Maybe you'll get some sexy time at night or something. I don't know, whatever. So surprise the wife with a dugout mug. I'll tell you, she'll love you forever. And or maybe even get your picture on the dugout mug. Send them a picture of your face and say, "Hey, I got you a dugout mug with my face on it." She'll love you forever for that. Or even, if you have a grandma or grandpa or something like that, send them a dugout mug with your picture on there, a little Johnny, a little Katie or whatever. There we go. Dugoutmug.com. Be sure to use the promo code OOTB Sports 20. Please. Paul Spencer says, tonight it's Elder versus Nola. If they lose tonight, I'm going to need another bottle of vodka. Did you see the vodka picture? I did it. It's up for Absolute Vodka, LOL, Absolute sponsors. Yes, I'll put it up right now to show the folks the Paul Spencer vodka picture here. It's right here. Let me take the comment off. If I hide. It takes a special kind of fan. I'll tell you that. All right, a couple more comments before I move on to my last topic here. Dave Arnold says, I've seen the Phillies movie before. I know the ending. Not that I don't love my Phils, just know the ending. I mean, they did make it to the World Series last year. I mean, there has to be it's not typical. You know, they don't. I don't know. I just feel like this year feels almost the same as last year. They started off slow. They finished hot. You know, now this year they didn't run through the Braves like they did last year, but you know it's still there. Adam says, Dave, I have 2 words for you. Go Phils. Dave Arnold says, Paul, the pitcher for the Braves tonight is A.J. Smith. I mean, so if I look up on ESPN app here, I'm going to look on the ESPN app, and we're going to settle this once and for all, who the pitcher for tonight's game is going to be. All right. My nose is stuffy. All right. I got to find it first. Hang on. Bear with me, people. All right, Phillies Braves. We have pitching tonight. On the ESPN app, it says Aaron Nola versus undecided. So you have undecided. He's looking kind of gray, but he's undecided. So that's what ESPN has. The MLB app. Won't load, so I'll continue talking, making up stuff until it does load. There, it's loaded. Oh, it's on 5:07 p.m. today. There we go. Let's see who's gonna pitch. Who's gonna pitch? Who's gonna pitch? You think it'd be easier to find out who the hell's gonna pitch? No, it's a pain in the ass. This the MLB app says Elder versus Nola. So I don't know. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I guess see who throws out the first pitch. Yariel Rodriguez says, did you see the Phillies fan deny entry? The Phillies fan deny entry to the stadium because he brought his pet alligator. You know what? I didn't see it, but I did hear. I don't know if it was I feel like I was washing pots or pans the other day, and the news was on, or ESPN. It might have been ESPN or the MLB Network. And I did hear something about alligator. I didn't know it was a Phillies fan. I didn't know anything like that. But I did hear the mention of alligator denied entry into the stadium. So tried saying it was what the hell do they call that? Emotional support pet or something like that. I was like, Jesus Christ, it's an alligator. So that's fantastic. That's good stuff right there. That's quality stories. All right, so moving on finally to my last topic of the day, so I can, there we go, get the heck out of here and go to bed. Nose is getting stuffy because I'm talking too much. That drives me insane. So for the playoff power rankings, It's kind of a bummer because we did the playoff power rankings before the games last night. So if I had to redo them today, they'd look a little bit different. But anyway, I'm going to go what's off of there, and I'd tell you where I'd have them after I would realign it after last night's games. So still I have Atlanta number 1, best team in baseball this season, still in the playoffs, 1-1 with the Phillies, so they're still golden at 1. 2, I had the Orioles. Even though when I did this, the Orioles that were down 2-0 against Texas, I still felt like they had a chance. Even though I have Texas going to the World Series, I still felt like the Orioles had a chance to make a series out of it. I didn't think that they'd get swept. The first time they were swept all season, I didn't think it was going to be in the playoffs. The Phillies, I have a 3 because they're coming in so hot. They played really, really good against their first round opponent, who was the Marlins. Texas, I have a 4. Like I said, I have Texas going to the World Series. They're playing some pretty good baseball right now. Really good baseball. They knocked out the second best team in baseball, in 3 games. It kind of reminds you a lot of the Phillies last year, to be honest with you. The 5, I have the Houston Astros. 6, the Dodgers. I think the Dodgers are proving themselves to be frauds, but I still have the Diamondbacks just below them at 7. And then the teams that are eliminated, I had the Twins 8, because I feel like they finished the season up really nice, so I had them ranked a little bit higher. The Rays, who started off the season so great, what was it, like a 13-game win streak or something like that? They were 22-4 at one point or something like that, some crazy number. Such a great start to come in as a wild card and then to get their asses swept. I mean, you can't deny they had a great season. I think they ended up with like 99 wins. They should have had triple-digit wins. There was no reason they shouldn't have. But, a huge disappointment for them. So I had them at 9. All season they were around 1, 2, and 3. So it's kind of a bummer for them. And number 10, the Blue Jays. Here's a team that just continues to underperform. They have the players to make a run. They have the roster to make a run. And every season it's the same thing over and over again, early exits. So those are my power rankings. So if I had to redo them today, I would have the Rangers at 2. The Phillies would stay at 3. Houston 4. LA 6. 7 Diamondbacks. And then I'd have the Orioles at 8. And so on and so on. Twins 9. Tampa Bay 10. Because Texas eliminated Baltimore. That's kind of how I'm going with it. So it is what it is. We got a couple comments here before I get the hell out of here. My mouth is getting dry. Here's the you can't see because it's really dark here, but let me see if I get the glare off it. Monkey Cold Coffee tumbler. You can't see it. There's a glare. Need a sip. All right. A couple comments. Like I said, Dave Yarnell says the alligator dude was the stupidest thing I ever seen in my life. Dave says, big man, do you have an Alexa near you? If you do, ask her who is pitching for the Braves tonight. Alexa is upstairs, and she's currently unplugged because my little guy likes to unplug her, take her to our great room, plug her back in, and have her sing the poop song. I kid you not, or I shit you not. That's what I should say. That's what he does. This is what you have a wealth of information at your fingertips. You could ask that Alexa anything. She'll tell you the answer, or at least what she thinks the answer is. Anything. And what we use Alexa for is the poop song and the burp and fart. Make fart noises. But unfortunately, she's unplugged right now because she went for a walk and she didn't get plugged back in yet. Yariel Rodriguez says, thanks for the show, Kenny. Anytime, Yariel. Thanks for checking it out. Like I said, I'm just a normal everyday fan. I'm not like a fanatic, so there's like a lot of stuff. Maybe there's some misinformation, but most of it's just my opinion and what I think, what I see, and That's how I roll. But thanks for commenting. Thanks for checking the show out. Hopefully I see you in the future on Wednesdays. You can also catch me Friday nights on the Atomic Drop podcast talking WWE wrestling. So if you're a wrestling fan, Yariel, check that out. I believe this week we're looking to go midnight. And then Saturday, I also do a Silver and Black Lair podcast, which I mentioned earlier, which is the Las Vegas Raiders and the LA Kings hockey. So from pigskin to puck, I got you covered. So you can check that out Saturdays. I think this week I'm going to go 10 p.m. As of right now, that's the plan. But there is a chance I'll have to work this weekend. There's a chance. And I'm not going to get into it because I'm annoyed. Adam Glenn says, I'll see you Saturday, fat ass. Yeah, you're going to see me. All 13 inches of my foot. There, Adam Glenn. All right. I got one more thing. I always do this. Show reads here real quick before I hit the hay. We got our show schedule-ish. So Mondays, you have Joystick Junkies for all you gamers out there, and also the Sully Squad talking Philadelphia sports. Tuesdays, Commanders Gridiron talking Washington Commanders football, and Extra Innings baseball is on Tuesdays as well. The Extra Innings podcast talking all of Major League Baseball. Wednesdays, of course, the Bat Cave 10 a.m. Fuji's Phillies Flair, which will be back, I guess, in a week or two. College Football Frenzy on Wednesdays, I think 8:05, 8:10, 8:05, 8:10. So if you're a college football fan, check that out. Paul Spencer and Bill Furman. Then 9:30 at night, Dem 215 boys talking Dallas Cowboy football. Thursdays, the NFL Weekly Pick'em Show. I believe that's like 6 or 6:30. At 6 p.m. on Thursdays is the NFL Weekly Pick'em Show. A terrific show. They pick each football game for the week. Paul Spencer and Danny. They have the NFC East War Room also on Thursdays at 7 p.m. Cowboys, Giants, Eagles, and Commanders represented, and they go back and forth at each other, talk about who sucks, who's good, and all that other good stuff. The Old School Show once a month. They should be coming up pretty soon with the show, talking 1990s Dallas Cowboys and their rivalry with the 49ers. Fridays, the Atomic Drop podcast, like I mentioned earlier, myself and Cowboy Dave, the Showstopper, talking WWE wrestling. Then Saturdays, for all you Notre Dame fans out there, the Golden Dome podcast at 11 a.m. And Paul also does a post-game show. So if the game's earlier in the day, after the game's over, check out Out of the Box Sports Entertainment for a post-game show. And if the game's a late game, after the game is over, Paul will have a post-game show. Good, bad, or ugly. He will do it. And also the Silver and Black Lair. That's with me, talking Raiders and LA Kings. Season starts tonight for the LA Kings. I'm super excited. I can't wait. And then Sundays, you have the Big Blue Power Hour talking New York Giants football at 11 a.m. And Dem 215 boys doing a pre- and post-game for Dallas Cowboys football. Coming soon, we'll have Rangers on Ice with our boy Danny talking Rangers hockey, New York Rangers hockey, and also a Sixers post-game live with Paul and assorted guests. They're going to do post-game shows after every single game, all 82 games. So it's going to be a hell of a feat. Be sure to check that out if you're a basketball fan. And should be a lot of fun. You can catch all of our shows out, Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly known as Twitter, and Twitch. And we're also on the Instagram and TikTok. All right. So Kings, like I said, Kings tonight against the Avalanche. I'm very excited. 10 p.m. tonight. I'll be listening to that. I wish I could watch it, but I can't. It's part of working night shift, I guess. Last comment of the day here. Dave Yarnell says, great show, big man. Thank you, Dave. Enjoy your special day. Go boys, go. Good luck to your Raiders as well. See you Friday night. Yes, sir. I'll see you Friday night. Hopefully your Cowboys do bounce back because it was pretty bad. And we'll see what the Phillies do tonight. I never wanted two teams to lose so much, in my life. If there was a way, I'd be rooting for it. All right. That's all I have for today. Thanks for checking the show out, everybody. Let's go Mets. I'll see you guys next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. See you.